everyone, I am here today with some recent reads. As it has been such a long time since I've kind of updated you with how my reading has gone, maybe you're thinking this video is going to be really long. No, that's how little reading I've done the last couple of months. As I said in a previous video, I've either been sick or I've been busy or I've been in a slump or, you know, every excuse under the sun. I've really not been reading, which is something I want to address in 2019. But for now, here are here are all of the books that I have read over the last couple of months. In most cases that I've actually read in the last week or so. So the first book I want to give a quick mention to is This Mortal Coil by Emily Suvada. I reread this in anticipation and indeed preparation for This Cruel Design. I didn't expect this to take me weeks, which it did. I really enjoyed it when I did though. I gave it 5 stars again this time around. I don't want to say too much more about it. It's a book that I've talked about a lot this year. I have got a full spoiler-free review for it, so I will link that in the cards and also in the description down below. Before picking up This Cruel Design, I decided to check out the free short story that got published in October, I think. These Precious Scars, again by Emily Suvada. So this is a, as I said, short story. It's around 40 pages if I remember correctly. And it should definitely be read after This Mortal Coil. And I don't think it really technically matters whether you read it before or after This Cruel Design. I personally read it before and I felt like it worked a lot better reading it before. So in my opinion, read This Mortal Coil, then These Precious Scars, and then This Cruel Design. So These Precious Scars covers characters that you meet in the series and gives you more background into where Cole, Lee and Anna and all the others sort of came from and their personalities, and just helps you get to know them a bit more, which is why I think it is helpful to read before this, because this book continues straight on from This Mortal Coil. And how to talk about this book without spoiling anything? Twists everything on its head again is probably the best thing I can say. I loved this book. I received this free copy from the publishers and was meant to review it quite a while ago, but I only finished reading it like last week or something because of my reading slump and sickness and everything else. So here I am talking about it now. This came out at the beginning of November, so if you haven't yet picked it up, you really need to. It is fantastic and I enjoyed it just as much as This Mortal Coil. So as I said, This Cruel Design continues on from the end of This Mortal Coil. We follow characters that we already know within the series, and in case you're not aware, this is a YA sci-fi series where there is a kind of plague that is consuming the world, and if you catch it, you kind of become infected and eventually you get sick and you start kind of bubbling up on the inside basically, and then you just explode, which is what this cover is. And in this one we cover more about trying to kind of cure the virus and where this leads us to from there. This one doesn't have as much romance in it, which is no bad thing. It doesn't suffer middle book syndrome like I was worried it would. If you've seen my interview with Emily Suvada earlier this year, which again I'll link in the cards in the description down below, you will see that I genuinely asked her, are you worried about middle book syndrome? This doesn't have it. I was, despite my reading slump and so kind of patchy reading experience with this, hooked whenever I did pick it up. It engrossed me, it scared me, it twisted my head. Emily Suvada has got to be one of the most talented authors I have ever read in terms of how she twists a story and then twists a story, and I didn't know who to trust in this book, and opinions that I had from the first book got totally flipped on their head in this book. And when I finished it, I wanted to just throw it across the room and cry because I didn't know what to do and I don't know what's happening, and I need the third book. Meanwhile, I have also been reading a Kindle book for about the last 2 months. And this is a book that I received from the publishers via NetGalley. Sirens in the Night by Michael Bradley. And this one was a weird experience for me. I want to start off by saying that I gave it 3 stars, but in a way it kind of feels more like a 3.5 stars. Even though I don't give half stars, this one makes me want to give it half stars, because it did feel better than a 3 overall, but it definitely wasn't a 4. This book, oh my, this book. So this is a dual perspective novel where we get the perspective of a police detective who has something to prove. She's had a difficult case in the past that has messed with her, and she feels the need to kind of prove herself with a new case and not let things get to her and prove that she is up to the job. The problem is her latest case is gruesome. So people are starting to show up around the city that have been murdered, but they look like they've been murdered thousands of years ago. They look mummified, but yet there is evidence of these people living like a few days previous of these murders, so it's really quite bizarre. This does have a bit of a kind of paranormal feel to it, along with it being quite horrific, so it's definitely a horror, and there's also the mystery element along with it. So I like a good horror, I like a good mystery. I don't normally throw paranormal in there with it though, except for rare occasions, and this is one of those rare occasions where I decided to give it a go. I didn't know whether I hated it or whether I loved it. I didn't particularly like the characters. I did like the police officer. I did not like the other main character whose perspective we get, whose name is escaping right now. I'm so terrible with names. Jack. Yes, Jack. I'm getting better. And the detective's name's Samantha. So Jack works for a radio station doing some really kind of dodgy, crappy kind of time show through the night and into the early hours. But he also works as a DJ at a club called Pulsar. And one night he is at that club and he sees these women, and they are stunning and everyone is like attracted to them. And one of his friends goes off with them. His friend then turns up as one of the people that get kind of mummified. So this has such an effect on Jack, because he knows that he saw him earlier that night, and then he sees the body a few days later when he is found, and he's like, how is this even possible? I was with him Friday night. That's all I'm going to tell you about the plot. The writing felt a bit all over the place for me. It wasn't the best written book I've ever read by any means. It just lacked quality at times in a way that I can't really put my finger on. It didn't always hook me in as well as it could have done. I kind of struggled early on trying to almost even follow what was going on. That did improve as I got used to the writing style, but I just didn't feel like it was very sophisticatedly written, and it wasn't even easy to read with its lack of sophistication. I would say if you enjoy paranormal, you will enjoy this book. If you enjoy mysteries or horror but you're not into paranormal, I probably wouldn't even give this a go, because the paranormal aspect is out of this world. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't necessarily something I wanted. But I guess it couldn't have been done without that, so it was the paranormal aspect and how it was done along with the writing that did drop the star rating quite a bit for me, because otherwise it probably would have been like a 4-star read. I enjoyed the mystery. I enjoyed the gruesomeness of the murders. I was really grossed out on several kind of occasions. It's quite graphic at times, so if you're not into that, again, don't pick this up. But I enjoyed this for what it was, which was kind of a fun, not too serious read, basically. And that is all I've read in like 2 months. So at least I've got you all caught up. In the meantime, I am expecting to finish any time now A Stranger in the House by Shari LaPena. I'm really loving this. If I wasn't trying to catch up on actually getting some videos out this year, I'd be finishing this right now. I had to force myself to put it down to film, which was really difficult, because this is becoming a new one of my favourite thriller authors, quite frankly. Shari LaPena writes fantastic, page-turning, quick, easy to read, but gripping thrillers. And I've got a feeling I know where this is going, but I've still got a good 150 pages left, so I'm hoping that gets turned on its head and that I'm not right. Otherwise, that might lower my enjoyment a little bit and might end up being a 4-star read rather than the current potential 5 stars. But we shall see. Meanwhile, on my Kindle, I am currently reading the rest of the Ghosts of the Shadow Market novellas so that I can pick up Queen of Air and Darkness, because I want to be all caught up before I read that. Even though you might not need to have read those, I like to always make sure I've read everything in order before picking up a new Cassandra Clare book. So that is what I'm currently doing with my Kindle. On my Audible, I have got Gary Barlow's autobiography on the go that I'm listening to with my mum. We're both big Take That fans. She's a massive Gary Barlow fan on top of that. So I've been buddy reading that with her a few hours off each week. So we might finish that today. If not, we will definitely finish that next week. And I'm also still re-listening to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because I loved that book so much and I wasn't ready to let it go. And even when I finish it this time, I'm not sure I'll be ready to let it go, but it's gotta happen. If you would like to pick what my first audiobook of 2019 is, please check out my previous video that went up. I don't know when, and I don't know when this is going to be, but it'll have definitely gone up before this video. I will leave it linked in the cards and also the description down below. Please go and check that out and give it a vote and let me know what you would like me to read first in 2019 on my audio collection. And if you've got any recommendations for audiobooks, I've got plenty of spare credits, so go and recommend away. But that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe by clicking the image of me if you want to see more book reviews and other bookish content from me, and I will see you soon. I will. At the very latest 2019, but I'm hoping to get a book haul up before the end of this year too, and possibly also another recent reads video, so that I can start 2019 totally afresh. But yeah, that's it for now. Bye!